Somewhere around 2010, a photographer snapped a picture at a Barcelona charity event. In it, a young man, just 23, already the best footballer on the planet, cradles a toddler in his arms. The baby is grinning. The young man is Lionel Messi. The baby is Lamine Yamal. Nobody knew what it meant then, but looking back now, it feels like the universe was trying to tell us something. Lamine Yamal Nasraoui Abana was born on July 13, 2007, in Esplugues de Llobregat, not the glamorous, sun-drenched Barcelona of tourists and trophies, but the working-class suburb just beyond the city limits. Industrial streets, immigrant families, a neighborhood the wider world doesn't spend much time thinking about. His father, Munir, had made his way from Morocco. His mother, Sheila, came from Equatorial Guinea, on the west coast of Africa. Together, they built a life in that suburb, and on a July afternoon in 2007, they had a son who carried all of it: 2 continents, 3 potential nationalities, 1 extraordinary city, in a single name. Before Yamal ever kicked a ball for a living, his very existence was already a story about modern Europe. Around the age of 7, Barcelona's scouts came looking, and they found exactly what they were looking for. Yamal enrolled at La Masia, the famous academy beside Camp Nou that had already shaped Xavi, Andres Iniesta, and, of course, Lionel Messi. For a generation, La Masia was universally regarded as the finest football school in the world. But by the early 2020s, people were starting to ask whether that golden era had passed, whether the magic had dried up. The academy hadn't produced a world-defining talent in years. Those questions would be answered, as things always are at La Masia, slowly, quietly, from a slight and fast kid who could do things with a football that made coaches reach for their notebooks. On April 29, 2023, Xavi Hernandez made a decision that would go down in Barcelona history. The club was playing Real Betis in La Liga, and midway through the match, Xavi turned to a skinny 15-year-old on the bench and called his number. Lamine Yamal jogged onto the pitch at 15 years and 290 days old, instantly becoming the youngest player ever to appear for FC Barcelona in La Liga. He broke a record that had stood since 1941, over 80 years, on a Tuesday evening in spring. The crowd clapped. They didn't quite know what they had just witnessed, but they would. By the summer of 2024, Spain's national team manager, Luis de la Fuente, faced a genuinely unusual question. Can you really take a 16-year-old to the European Championship? Some coaches might have said, wait another year, let the kid breathe. De la Fuente said yes. Yamal flew to Germany and became the youngest player in the history of UEFA's European Championship, surpassing a record that had stood for decades. He was a teenager in a squad of hardened professionals, stepping onto pitches where grown men had chased the continent's biggest prize for their entire careers. And from his very first touch in that tournament, it was clear. The nerves, if he had any, were staying private. But before the tournament began, life hit Yamal somewhere the cameras don't reach. In May 2024, just weeks before the Euros kicked off, his father Munir was stabbed in a street attack in Barcelona. He survived, but that kind of trauma, the fear, the violence, the helplessness of watching someone you love get hurt, would shake most people to their foundations. Yamal was 16. He processed whatever he needed to process. And then he showed up to training. He showed up to matches. He produced. There are things you simply cannot measure in football statistics. And the emotional strength required to perform under that weight is chief among them. July 9, 2024, Munich. Spain versus France in the Euro 2024 semifinal. France had taken the lead and the momentum was shifting. Then, 4 days before his 17th birthday, Yamal picked up the ball wide on the right. He took one touch to set his feet. And then he curled a left-footed shot that bent, dipped, and flew into the top corner of the French net. The goalkeeper didn't move. Not because he was slow, there was simply nothing he could have done. The stadium exploded. Commentators lost their composure. In an instant, Lamine Yamal, still 16 years old, 362 days old to be exact, had produced what many would call the greatest goal ever scored by a teenager in international football. Spain leveled, Spain pushed, Spain won, and the kid stood there in the floodlights, smiling. 5 days later, on July 14th, Spain met England in the final in Berlin. They won 2-1, claiming a record fourth European Championship title. And the date? The day after Lamine Yamal turned 17. He celebrated his birthday as a European champion. In 5 compressed, almost absurdly poetic days, in July 2024, he had scored one of the tournament's most celebrated goals, turned 17, and lifted the continent's most coveted trophy. You genuinely could not write it. Nobody would believe you. And yet, there he was. In November 2024, at just 17, Yamal was awarded the Golden Boy, given every year to the best under-21 player in European football. The youngest winner in the award's history since it was founded in 2003. Barcelona, making their feelings perfectly clear, inserted a reported €1 billion release clause into his professional contract. Not $1 million. Not $100 million. $1 billion. Carlo Ancelotti, the manager of Real Madrid, Barcelona's fiercest rival, publicly called him a phenomenon. High praise from a man paid handsomely to disagree. Transfermarkt valued him at around €180 million, and that number keeps climbing. By late 2024, his chance creation and goal contribution figures ranked him among the elite wingers in all of European football. At 17, but the numbers only get you so far. What truly lingers is the bigger picture. A boy from a working-class immigrant suburb, carrying Morocco and Equatorial Guinea in his blood, wearing the red and yellow of Spain, and on a warm summer evening in Munich, bending a football into the top corner and making an entire continent catch its breath. That photograph from 2010 still exists, baby Yamal in Messi's arms. And now somehow, it makes perfect sense.